Well, good morning. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about shuffles, the different types of shuffles that you hear. Living in Jackson, Mississippi, of all places, you would think you would learn or know what shuffles are. And a lot of drummers, when they play shuffles, they basically play one type, even though several types might be called for. Now, for those of you who don't know what a shuffle is or are familiar with the musical term shuffle, it comes from it's based on a triplet rhythm. Triplet being 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or as it's counted, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. And what you do when you're playing a shuffle, you take the and beat out. And so don't forget about that and beat. We're going to add it back in later on when I show you something else. But you take the and beat out, and what you're left with is 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 And a lot of drummers, when they play around town, will play this, and it's called a delta shuffle. Now, there's three types of main shuffles I refer to. There's the Texas shuffle, played on the snare drum. There is the delta shuffle, which is you lead off of your cymbals, and a rock shuffle, where you use your bass drum. Texas shuffle is behind the beat. Delta is on the beat. Rock shuffle is pushing the beat. All three are in correct time, but there's a different feel for each one. I'm going to run through first, starting with the delta. Now, this is anywhere from Clarksdale to Chicago. And again, your pattern that you're going to do with your cymbal hand, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, is like this: 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 3 There it is. Your best example of listening to that is something like by the Blues Brothers, Sweet Home Chicago. They do a wonderful version of Magic Sam's Sweet Home Chicago. Just great stuff. The Texas Shuffle is with your left hand and is played on your snare drum. A lot of people play Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan, and they often take it with a Delta blues approach, or they take it with a kind of a rock shuffle or a hybrid of the two. And actually what it is a Texas Shuffle. Chris, hello, we're tongue-tied this morning. Chris Whippet Layton played a very nice Texas Shuffle on that. Texas Shuffles were behind the beat, played on the snare drum. Mike Clark, who's a wonderful drummer, someone you should check out if you're very interested in this style of music. Mike Clark goes into detail about Texas Shuffles and the flat tire rhythms and what you get. So when you're playing a Texas Shuffle, this is what you're doing. You can spick it up, excuse me, again, my mind is not working. You can pick it up for like an up-tempo Texas Shuffle. And then voila, Texas Shuffle, led off with the snare drum. Then you've got your rock shuffle, which is played on your bass drum. Some guys call it kick. They get off on the term using kick drum because it makes them feel good and with a lot of bravado, like, I have a kick drum. Well, no, it's a bass drum. It has a bass note. And it rings, it resonates, and if you mic it correctly, it sounds wonderful. If you have a kick drum, might as well just go ahead and get yourself a cardboard box, shove a quilt in it, and kick it. That's what you're winding up with. But I digress. Anyway, so going on to the pattern with the bass drum. It was brought to you by kind folks at, say, Les Wesley Mountain or Wesley Les Mountain or Mountain, the group Mountain, Smoking in the Boys' Room. Motley Crue covered it, and then every other rock group since then, since the 70s, has used some form of. And since it's rock, and rock is a high energetic music, it pushes the beat. So to kind of play a simple rock shuffle, you'd have 1 2 1 2 3. So again, to kind of run through it, Texas behind the beat. Delta shuffle on the beat. variations of the shuffle. There's a good friend of mine that just loves Grand Funk Railroad. You've got a variation of the funk shuffle. You've got the halftime shuffle, which is a very, very fast shuffle, and it was developed really first by Billy Cobham off the 1979 album Spectrum. Alex Van Halen copied it and came up with what's called the Hot for Teacher rhythm, which is where you're using a double bass. I'm using a double pedal, and he played this rhythm. So, and there's that form of a shuffle. The and beat that I spoke of earlier, well, that's related to the Purdy shuffle. Bernard Purdy was a great drummer, studio drummer, did a lot of stuff in the 60s and 70s, and is currently playing today. And what he did, he took a triplet, and I'm going to play on my knee, since you can see it. Hello, it's my knee. And what he would do is take a triplet, which is played like this, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, you see I'm alternating. Right, left, right, left. He would take it, and he would do it in a non-alternating format, where he would start with the right hand, he'd go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. And you'll notice the left hand then becomes a little more subdued, goes into what's called ghost note, grace note area for drummers. And what you come up with Bernard Purdy, when he did his at home, with Home at Last, with Steely Dan, Babylon Sisters, and stuff like this. Later, John Bonham of Led Zeppelin heard that and thought that's a really great rhythm, and Bonham was a very loud and bombastic drummer. He came up with the rhythm for Fool in the Rain, which was. And there was that. Now, the thing that drove it home for drummers, the thing that made every drummer really pay attention to it, was Jeff Porcaro of Toto. Toto was a group of studio musicians got together in the mid to later part of the 70s and put some string of hits together, and they're still touring today, great band. But what he did was Rosanna, and a lot of people call it the Rosanna Shuffle, which is nothing more than Purdy Shuffle taken up beat. And this is it. I'll slow it down. Then bring it over to my knee. And there's your shuffle beat right there. I do this just kind of as a little bit of an education thing and a little bit for fun. I see a lot of drummers playing shuffles around town, and 9 times out of 10 they'll go straight into a variation of the Delta Shuffle, and some around town, some good friends of mine, do know what Texas shuffles, and they know what rock shuffles are, and they know halftime and other things like that. But it's always kind of good to kind of spread the knowledge and spread the wealth. So there you go. Hope you enjoy it.